I'd like to call to order PPRTA Board of Directors meeting for Wednesday, March 11th. I see 5 in the room, and we have the mayor of Rama online. I think we've established a quorum. I'm going to take a brief recess. It is picture day, our annual pictures for PPRTA board. So we're going to be on a quick pause for a few minutes, everybody. Thank you. Okay. We'll come back out of our recess. Item number 2 is approval of our agenda. Can I entertain a motion to approve?
Mayor Dixon, I'll move approve.
Okay.
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Second, moved and seconded. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Item number 3 is public comment. Is not scheduled for the agenda. Okay. Okay.
Appreciate you guys letting me speak. It's more of an invitation than it is of comment. So, Silver Key does our annual Senior Expo, Senior Summit every year. This year, it's going to be 2 unique days of presentations, and then also events, and then also different vendors each day. First day will be senior related. Second day will be intergenerational related. So it's going to be on the 14th and 15th of September at the Great Oak Lodge. Hope you guys can all make it. It's going to be a good time. It is every year. This is my 3rd one. So thank you guys for everything you do for us. And look forward to see you out there.
For the minutes, sir, could we get your name?
Cimarero, Simeraro.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to speak, Aaron. Appreciate it. Okay. Anyone else here for public comment? Anyone online? Okay. Seeing that, we'll move on. Item number 4, approval of the meeting minutes from February 11th, 2026.
There's no corrections. Mayor Dixon moves approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, thank you. Okay, anything under question? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Number 5 is our Citizens Advisory Committee, their monthly report. Take it away, Jim.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Jim Godfrey, Chair of the CAC. Our meeting last week went well, no public comments. In projects, the city brought forward 7 contracts. As usual, Gail did a great job of going over those and the details, some back and forth and a couple of questions by folks, but we recommend approval of the city's request for their 7th project. The county, I had 2 projects. Josh has described. No, there were no questions or comments or concerns on those. And then Josh gave us the presentation that you'll see today on paving and preservation. Very informative briefing. The CAC really enjoyed getting some details and stuff on the various methods of paving and preventing damage and correcting and preserving concrete. So I think you'll, if you haven't seen that kind of presentation before, hopefully you get this much out of that as well. Transit gave a great report. Gail gave us an update on the change order and property acquisition report. For the North Powers reimbursement update. gave us a good update on that. And then in your packet also, we make a recommendation to approve the annual report to the citizens. And I would like just to mention, as I do our CAC meetings, in your packet also, the quarterly reports from the member governments. I would like to really thank the member governments for the staff time it takes to maintain this. This is a very, very useful document. I use it as a reference document to refer back to answer questions from citizens that have questions about projects of this, that, and another. And I hope you use it that way as well. But anyway, I'd just like to make sure I thank the member governments for their input. We appreciate it. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Anybody have any questions for the CAC? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the monthly report.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move approval.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Appreciate it. Just to recognize, Commissioner Williams is now online as well. So thank you for joining us. Number 6, we're going to move to our financial reports.
Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. The reports I need to put together, the financials from the state have not been released to me yet. But as soon as those are done, I will email that out to the full board.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions for staff on the financials? Nope. Okay. Moving on. Number 7A is going to be capital maintenance and public transportation contracts. First is City of Colorado Springs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the PPRTA Board. My name is Gail Sturdivant, and City Engineer and Deputy Public Works Director for the City of Colorado Springs. As Mr. Godfrey mentioned, we have 7 contracts for your consideration today. The first contract is associated with the Circle Drive Bridge Replacement Project. There's a PPRTA A-list project. There is a map included in your packet. This is to get authorization for the payment of $57,000 to BNSF Railways. When we get through and do the construction for this, we have conduits, and it's actually electrical lines that go through these conduits that we have to pay a licensing fee for. We had an initial estimate of $7,400. And now that the project's done and we've added additional lines, it comes up to a total of $57,000. So this is included required expense in our construction and maintenance agreement with the railroads. The city's second contract is for another PPRTA 2A list. It's for the Galley Road over West Fork of Sand Creek Bridge Replacement Project. There's a map included in your packet. This is to cover up to and not to exceed value of $35,127. This is to cover some cost escalation that's happened with the changes in the contract over time, because the contract was let out about 3 years ago. So we are in the end stages of doing the final reconciliation for that. There are cost escalation provisions in our contract. So we've just prepared it not to exceed value, knowing where we think we may end up on the worst case scenario as we begin to close out that contract. The city's third contract is for a PPRTA 3 A-list project. It's for the US 24 functionality and routing study. This is the study that we've paired with the Woodman Road Improvements Project. I brought you this contract, the underlying contract in January. But what we had shown you in January showed that some of the federal grant monies that we have would actually apply to this particular project, and it does not. Those grant monies only apply to the Woodman Road project. So this is really just to show what we originally intended for, or thought we might have federal match for, a change of allocating $64,907.36 to PPRTA for that A-list project, and those funds are budgeted already. Contract number 4 is for a very interesting project. It's for what we refer to as an ultimate treatment site. This is for a piece of property located in the northwest corner of Woodman Road and Austin Bluff Parkway. This site, when we refer to alternative treatment, is to be able to provide an alternate source for us to be able to meet stormwater, water quality requirements we have with all of our transportation projects. This property was already for sale. We went through and did an analysis on it to see what kind of water quality uh, capacity it could provide us. And we've determined it could handle a minimum of 6 projects up that are on the PPRTA 3A list. Also, when we do this, just to kind of give you some background, when we do our transportation projects, we always have a water quality requirement. In general, we can meet about 75% of those requirements on the site. But it really is a struggle for us to meet those last 25% of those water quality requirements. With the city's underlying MS4 permit, we can find an alternate site to provide those water quality benefits, assuming it's in the same drainage basin. So again, with the analysis of this property, we know it's in the same drainage basin with at least 6 PPRTA 3 projects, and know that it can be able to help us meet those water quality requirements. The asking price for that property was $1.38 million. The city went through an independent appraisal, and they confirmed that that was the value of that property. And it's nearly 16 acres that we would be using for this water quality efforts. And the 6 projects is all 4 of the Nevada Avenue projects, Old Ranch Road improvements, and the 30th Street corridor improvements. We're also thinking we'll be able to help us with a couple of our bridge projects, one at Fillmore and another at Mark Shelf on Cottonwood Creek. The city's
So
fifth con-
question, would you have to build a retainage facility on that?
It's essentially that's, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious, and if your water quality is anything.
Yeah,
Retention.
it's a combination retention, detention, right?
Okay.
That you'll be able to provide that water quality capture volume and still pass water through, because that is part of a tributary to Cottonwood Creek. All right, the city's 5th contract is for pin down durable barriers. This is a piece of traffic equipment that would be used to put 9 demonstration projects that were identified in the city's state Safe Streets and Roads for All demonstration grant application. And the map that's included in your packet, they represent the dots. And what these are going to be used for is to put neighborhood traffic circles, temporary traffic circles or traffic calming circles in place to slow down essentially speeding vehicles that are going through our neighborhoods. With the grant funds, there's $300,000 available. We would be pairing that with $200,000 of PPRTA money and having that contract go to Impact Recovery for that equipment. The city's 6th contract is somewhat similar. It's another aspect of our Safe Streets and Roads for All demonstration projects. And it's for 7 locations to put pin down speed tables, essentially speed humps, but they're going to be temporary, again, with the purpose of slowing down or reducing a residential street speeding. We have $80,000 identified in the grant and $100,000 in PPRTA funds for a total of $180,000 for traffic logic, that equipment. And the city's, and those are the yellow dots on your map, by the way. And then the city's 7th contract is for inspection services for 230 minor bridges, 104 parks bridges, and 140 of our 567 retaining walls. And just to give you a little bit more background, our major structures or our largest bridge structures that we have, those get inspected every 2 years, and that money is funded through the state. And then we get provided the data to help with our asset management. The city has, over the last several years, has taken it upon themselves to do inspection of our minor structures every 4 years, so we can continue to get condition assessments to be able to make appropriate asset management and appropriate maintenance decisions. You'll actually hear a little bit about Josh. It's actually not unlike what Josh is going to talk about on pavement, but we do the same thing with bridges. We've started doing the same thing for walls that happen to be in our public right of way as well. And you'll see that's where we have portions of the inspections going on. And then we also help the Parks Department out to do their inspections too. So the total contract is $360,594.01 to Basis Partners. And of that amount is $49,715 will come from the Parks Department. So those are the city's 7 contracts. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I had a question, for the improvements on Woodman Road. I saw you had circled where the improvements were going on. Part of that was in the edge of it in the county.
Yes,
That is included in there, right?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
So
So the,
city's not gonna stop at the
um,
boundary line.
yeah, so the city and county are actually working together. That's one of our regional collaborative projects. But we are working together. The city's taking the lead on this first round of the contract work, but we'll do all the corridor analysis, all the alternatives analysis, and help get us to some concept level designs. And then we'll be breaking it up, and the county will be taken essentially from around Golden Sage Road to US 24 and working on that through PPRTA, and the city will be working from Powers essentially to Golden Sage from there. But right now, we're just working together on it.
Okay. Appreciate that. And then second and hopefully final question. I saw on the map there was traffic circles on some of those going in. You did say all of those improvements are coming in on residential roads, right?
Yes.
Right, where speed limits are gonna be low, I would assume anyway, so it's not
Yes.
gonna be like a main thoroughfare.
Yes, I think the most recognizable roads, the one that's probably the largest traffic volume, just from me looking at the list of the 9 locations, would be West Redmond Road at Blodgett Drive. But most of them are on general
Okay.
neighborhood streets.
It's pretty cut through. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Seeing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move to approve the city of Colorado Springs contracts.
Commissioner Williams, second.
Okay, moving seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. On to 7B. County.
Good afternoon, Josh Palmer, County Engineer. County has 2 contracts to bring before you for approval today, hopefully for approval today. The first is a design contract award to Olson for the Volmer Road and Burgess Road intersection improvement project. This in the amount of $765,384.78. County went through an RFP process, received 5 proposals, and Olson was determined to be the best value for this project. The second is a real estate package, property acquisition for the Highway 105B project, this is PPRTA 2 project. It's a combination of right-of-way and utility easement. There's a map for both of the contracts, but there's a map showing the location. And that is for parcel 124 on the Steinberg property, and the settlement amount is $135,000. Willing to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for county engineer?
Commissioner Williams, move approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Mayor Dixon, second.
Okay. Seeing that, nothing other question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8. Member governments and other reports, City of Colorado Springs, Transit Service, monthly update. Take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Line Rail Transit Division Manager. In our packet is Transit's monthly update. The first section under ridership includes the January information on both fixed route, paratransit, and van pool in terms of ridership and revenue service hours. Moving to the transit highlight section, we have 2 items to update the board with today. The first item is transit security services. As you know, safety and security is always our top priority. And as part of our continued focus on safety, customer experience, and operational readiness across the transit system, we just recently introduced a new program, which is really a mobile rover control response on our fixed route service. In September 25, we entered into a new contract with a security guard company. And starting in December, we added this new program called Rover Patrol. So what this program does is it really emphasizes more of a proactive engagement, use of de-escalation techniques, and really working with emergency service dispatcher and local law enforcement to provide that proactive response. So far, we have been receiving very positive response of this new program, and we'll continue to monitor and provide feedback. The second item we included in the transit section is our final service change for spring 2026. We have included all the details of the changes. I will just share a couple of things from our rider survey. This year, we used a new tool to collect citizens' comments on those proposed services. We received 248 responses this year compared to around 20 that we used to get in the past. So we're very happy about the response that we received. Most people supported the proposed service changes. Some are more split, and people took their time whether they support or oppose those changes. They put their comments in. So we're very appreciative of people's time. The strongest support that we received were on the proposed Route 3 changes. One is on the fare-free Route 3 from Colorado Springs downtown terminal all the way to Manitou Springs. And the second one is to increase the frequency on that service. Most supporters commented those changes will increase ridership, reduce congestion, and lower emission. And they also commented that these changes will boost local businesses and expand access for both Colorado Springs and Manitou Springs residents. The opponents commented that they are concerned about higher operating costs, staffing shortages, and potential taxpayer burdens of these changes. So these are we see a lot of those repeated comments from both the supporter side and also the opponent side. So those comments are still on our website, MMT Transit, and you can go through them if you're interested. We, at staff, we went through every single one of them and took notes of all the recommendations or concerns that we noted. That's my report, and happy to answer any questions.
I had a question. Who is the security contractor that you now have a contract with for Mountain Metro?
It's called thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, you just wanted to put on the record. So, okay, that's good to hear all that. So, no further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And on to item 8B, City of Colorado Springs change order and property acquisition reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gail Sturdivant again. The change order log and the property acquisition report is informational item. It is available in your packet. I'm happy to answer any questions should you have some.
Any questions for the city? Okay. Running right along. Perfect. Item 8C, City of Colorado Springs, Powers North reimbursement update.
I just continue to keep the PPRTA board up to date on the reimbursement schedule for Powers Boulevard extension. This particular report adds another $138,202.08 to the overall list, and we're continuing to make payments as outlined in the reimbursement agreement. Also, just to give you an update on Powers Boulevard, where they have started the water line relocation required for the overall project at Flying Horse Club Drive. And the Copper Ridge Metro District has selected Kramer North America for the construction of the local bridges. So that will be the first major construction package to be able to go out, and they will be starting this spring.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, we'll move to the county side. 8D, El Paso County, monthly change order and property acquisition reports.
The log is in your packet. I'm going to answer any questions you may have.
Board members, any questions for the county? Okay. Seeing none. 8E, El Paso County Road Reservation Presentation. Heard about this one? Go ahead and take it away, Josh Palmer.
Thank you again, Josh Palmer, County Engineer. During last month's board meeting, Commissioner Nelson recommended that the county share the same presentation that we shared with our Board of County Commissioners about 6 weeks ago. So every year, starting in about August, the county starts putting together their proposed roads list for the upcoming year. So this is paving and preservation. And then sometime near the end of the year, or the beginning of the next year, we share that information with the board and request their approval of the list, typically following approval of our budget. There's always, I don't want to say there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of interest in our paving list. All year long, I get lots of emails and calls. Is my road going to be on the list just this year? And unfortunately, for 11 months out of the year, I have to say I don't know because the road list has not been approved yet. Get this on every time. There we go. So this is just a high level look at our roadway network, paved versus gravel roads. Depending on what you're trying to capture or the information you're trying to share, you may talk about lane miles versus center line miles, but lane miles is a little bit more accurate because it takes into account the actual lanes rather than a point-to-point measurement of the length of the road. So you can see in 2025, we had just over 2,400 lane miles of paved road, slight increase from 2024, and that's typically because of redevelopment. And then there's no change in our gravel road network between 25 and 24. Excuse me. So for the last few years, we've really been focusing a lot more on preservation and not just paving roads. An old practice was worst to first. If your road was falling apart, you can no longer drive on it. Guess what? You got to get paved. It's not as effective or as efficient as it could be. So this is just kind of an explanation of how preservation plays into the role of the life cycle of a paved road. So we measure the condition of our road on a scale called the pavement condition index, and it's basically a 0 to 100 scale, 0 being completely failed, 100 being a new road, and then we kind of categorize them from good all the way down to failed. So you can see that orange line there is what you would expect in the good category, a brand new road. And like everything else, over time, the road degrades, not at the same rate. Every road's a little bit different, but generally speaking, if you were to pave a new road and then not touch it, you could expect 20 to 25 years before the road would need to be replaced. But you can see in those little blue arches there, if you implement periodic and consistent preservation treatments over the course of that life cycle of the road, you can not only extend out the life of the road, but you can decrease the cost that it takes to maintain that road. Eventually, the road will need to be replaced. There's at some point preservation is no longer applicable, but hopefully you can get from 20 to 25 years to maybe 40 or 50 years out of the road. And as we'll talk a few slides later, the cost of preservation versus rehabilitation or reconstruction is significant. We did this in 2025. The first time we did this road data collection was in 2022. So we didn't drive, but we contracted out a consultant to go out and drive every lane mile of our road. And then we used 3D profiling technology. So ground penetrating radar, LiDAR, laser crack measurement. We wanted to get really, as much as we could, a 3D assessment of the condition and the health of every road, every paved road in the county. The plan is to do this every 2 or 3 years, and every year, every time we do it, we hope to not only update and calibrate the new information, but kind of maybe collect more information. So this year, we're also going to include like manholes and valves that maybe weren't included in 2022. The county doesn't provide a whole lot of utilities, but there are a lot of utilities that exist within our right of way, and oftentimes utility companies aren't as aware of the location of their utilities as you might expect. So being able to collect this data and also share it with utility companies will help out when we get out there to pave the road and we're not waiting for others to scramble and cover up their manhole lids or touch up their valve covers. Something we really want to do, though, as well as we continue to collect and update this information, is coming up with location-specific treatment options. It's never a one-size-fits-all. treatments and options and life cycles for roads up in Cascade or Green Mountain Falls or up in the mountains. It's a lot different than they are out in Rama or Rush, a lot different. So you want to hopefully come up with location-specific treatment options and plans. So degradation curves. So we have a pavement management software system that helps us project out the life of a road, the condition of a road, recommend treatments, incorporate all the different variables that we could input: location, geometry, types of weather, pavement cross sections, what type of road base or not exists under these roads, and help us come up with location-specific degradation curves that will help provide recommendations that are specific to a certain location. And just a snapshot of the condition, the proportion of conditions of our road, 2024 versus 25. So like I mentioned, we use PCI not only to measure the condition of an individual road, but overall, what's our average PCI? And our goal, kind of high level, is a 1-point increase in our pavement condition index year over year. And we've accomplished that, actually exceeded that every year. And our plan is for slightly more than 1-point increase going into 2026 as well. Really, what I'd like you to get from this is the green and the yellow is good. Everything that's not green and yellow, not so good. So we want the proportion of our good, satisfactory, and fair roads to increase, and we want to decrease the proportion of poor, very poor, and failed roads. So yeah, measuring the overall PCI of our roadway network is a good kind of first step in understanding the health of our network. But really, we do look at each individual road. So even when we put our roads list together, we get the projections from our pavement management software. We still go out and look at every road. And we're very conservative in our roads list every year. We leave a lot of room for roads to come in that maybe we didn't account for or may have deteriorated quickly. We start paving in April-ish, we end in October or November. A road can fall apart pretty quick. I've seen roads that are perfectly fine on Friday, and by Monday, they're potholes the size of trucks. So they can fall apart pretty quick. So we're conservative in our approach and the quantity and volume of roads that we include in this list. We want to leave a lot of room to account for these. Unofficially, we call them code blocks in-house in engineering. We get a code block. We hear a lot from Commissioner Applegate on feedback and information from his district. So we want to leave room in our budget and in our schedule to incorporate those roads that may have changed condition over the course of a paving season. And it's just a different way to look at the same information. You can see how the overall PCI of our roadway network has increased and improved year over year, going back to 2019. So I mentioned pavement treatment. There's a lot of different options. A lot of them are different versions of the same sort of approach or same sort of technology, but they all have slightly different applications, slightly different uses. These are just a few examples: the slurry, chip, and cape seal. Different versions of sort of the same technology. They usually involve some sort of emulsified asphalt or binder and sand or aggregate, but their application's a little bit different. And updating our information and tightening up our approach will help us apply the right treatment to the right area. What I really like, I'm really a big fan of, is this full depth reclamation. It's not a new technology. Sometimes it's talked about the county's being innovative, or not that innovative really, but we are for what the county may have done. A lot of these technologies existed for a while. It's new for us, but maybe not new for other people. But full depth reclamation isn't something new. Personally, I really don't like waste. I can't tell you how many cold chicken nuggets that I've eaten because I hate the idea of throwing away my kids' dinner. It's the same way with full depth reclamation. It really takes advantage and reuses a lot of still perfectly good material. We get machines out there, it grinds up the existing asphalt in a certain percentage, a couple inches of the road base, grinds that up, creates a new road base, lays it back down, compacts it, and then repave over. So not only are we getting almost a new road, but we're also reclaiming and using a lot of the existing material. So we don't have to waste money or time on hauling in the new road base. It's, you want to call it green, it's kind of green. And we've gotten some very good prices from our contractor over the last couple of years. Roads that we've planned to apply a very low cost treatment to. Martin Marietta was our contractor for the last couple of years, and we have some really good prices on full depth reclamation. Foxtail Meadow up there behind the Falcon Walmart. A couple years ago, we were planning just to do, we were gonna do a cape seal or slow seal. And they came back and said, well, for $3 more a square yard, we can do full deck reclamation, almost get a brand new road. So that's what we did. This is just a couple of examples of different treatment types. Bottom right there, that's foxtail meadow like we talked about. That picture on the right, Martindale Road, it's a brand new road. It may look kind of dirty, but it's just the oxidation process of the road's got to cure. So it's still black. It's not dirty. It's not bad. It's just kind of make it look like the road's kind of cure. So I think this is probably the most interesting part and kind of speaks to the benefit of a good preservation program. Every dollar we spend on preventative maintenance now can save $4 to $10 in future maintenance costs. So spending a little bit of money now can save us a lot of money in the future. And ultimately, maintaining a good road now is 14 times more, costs 14 times more to reconstruct or rebuild the road than it does to preserve the road. It can make it a little difficult. When we really started hitting this hard in 2022, it was a hard pill to swallow because you really don't start seeing the results for maybe 4, 5, 6 years, the ultimate benefits of preserving a road. We get a lot of questions. You just paved the road down the street a couple years ago. Why are you back out here? My road's falling apart. We can talk logic and science and engineering all we want, but people don't, it's hard to understand and wrap your head around the fact that we're out there paving what appears to be a new road. We're finally starting to see the benefit of that. And you can see, we saw that those pie charts. As we preserve a road, we are able to build up and decrease the backlog of bad roads. So the proportion of bad roads that won't benefit from preservation, we're able to hit more and more of those as we have less roads in those that failed category, more roads that have benefited from preservation. And I talked about this. Without preservation, 20, 25 years is about the life that you can get out of a road. Really want to keep our good roads good as long as possible. I talked a lot about our pavement management software, our data collection, our approach to pavement condition index and how that kind of works with our funding. We spend about $10 to $12 million of our maintenance budget, PPRTA maintenance budget every year, almost 100% on paving and preservation. Our plan and our projections say we need $20 to $24 million a year if we want to keep up with that goal of a 1 point increase per year. Fortunately, our Board of County Commissioners has been very generous and they've recognized the benefit, and they've, in our annual budget requests, have been able to make up that difference. Not to say our roads will fall apart in one given year if our budget goes down. I think we've made up enough ground to where we could survive a couple of lean years with just PPRTA, or if revenues drop off across the board, our roads aren't going to fall apart immediately, but over time, we're going to start losing some of the ground we've made up over the last few years. I talked about kind of the geocentric focus on specific preservation types for a certain area. One of the things we're looking at, we're starting now, and we're hoping to implement maybe next year, is a not only a 5-year capital program, but also a 5-year maintenance program as well. And we have a lot of options and a lot of things that we're looking at. Right now, we do our best to kind of be equitable in how we share the work that's going on our roadways. If you really wanted to be precise about it, it would make the most sense to go to one area and spend all of our money and all of our time in one area. I'll use Commissioner Nelson since she's not here in Park Vista. We could go and spend all $12 million in Park Vista and pave every single road out there, and it would be great. I think the rest of the county may object to that, but that we would get the most bang for our buck. The contractor wouldn't have to mobilize, we wouldn't have to worry about hauling materials. Our inspectors would love it because they want to drive all across the county, but that doesn't make the most sense. So we try to be equitable every year in how we approach and how we apply and kind of spread the wealth and share this value. One of the things we're looking at in the upcoming years is coming up with sort of maybe a rotating plan. You know, we do preservation, we do paving, we do concrete work, we do drainage work. So maybe we start going on a rotation where we can benefit from those efficiencies, but the entire county sees work in any given year. It just kind of rotates, and it follows that same sort of pattern of 5 to 7 year rotation on preservation. That's yet to be determined. We haven't finalized that yet, but these are things that we're looking at, become more efficient, more effective, and get the most out of our dollars that we can. Clicker's not working. Can we go to the next slide? Probably more interest to those in unincorporated El Paso County. This is our plan for 2026. You can see in that second column, just comparing relatively what we did proportionally as a percentage of each district in paving. And then the next slide shows the same, next slide shows the same for preservation. It's not uncommon for 1 year to see a lot of work being done in paving and not so much in preservation. You may see that flip flop the following year. So if we're out there doing a lot of preservation 1 year, probably don't need it as much in the following year, but you may see an imbalance in preservation versus paving in a given district or a given location. That's 100% intentional. Over time, it balances out, but it's 100% intentional, and that's our plan. And this is just our review process. We've gone through it. We presented to our board. Our budget's been approved. We plan to start paving probably in April. If warm weather continues, we may start sooner, but right now, April is kind of our target. And this is just a list of all the roads. If you go to our public works page, all this information is on our page. Presentation, the roads list. There's also an interactive map. Once the work does start, you'll be able to find what is being done on your road, what type of preservation, is it paving, the contractor, relative time frame for a schedule. It's kind of a ballpark. It's all dependent on schedules and weather and stuff like that. But if your road's on there, you can click on it and see what's going to be done and when it's going to be done, hopefully. Any questions?
Just a comment. Up in Green Mountain Falls, we did an experiment using millings over on the side of town that does not get a lot of sun. We chose a little strip of road that had a little bit of incline to it. And while it works great in the summer, it did not work great this winter. It developed a layer of ice where everything else was fine. And just, you couldn't even get on. I mean, I was out on it, fell twice. So yeah, it just did not work well for the winter applications. And so at least where we're at for the steeper grades, if we're going to use millings or anything like that, it's going to be very, very sparse. Just because it just gets too slick, especially with like the first snow.
Yeah, millings are great in very specific applications.
Yeah.
Definitely not in the shade, definitely not where you're going to see a lot of traffic. The county really doesn't use it other than maybe for shouldering, or like I mentioned, if you're going to hold that reclamation or for mill and overlay, but generally speaking, we don't put those on our roads too often.
Yeah, I mentioned it because obviously Cascade and Speed Apart are under your wheelhouse. And yeah, I don't know how well that the pavement actually works up there.
So these were millings on county-owned roads?
Well, I think you use asphalt on some of the roads up in Speed Apart and Cascade.
Okay.
I think, not positive.
Okay. If you're seeing millions on a county road, let me know, because that generally isn't a practice we do, but doesn't mean we wouldn't do it. But if you're seeing something odd on a county road, let me know.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
I just want to comment if there's no other questions. So thanks, Josh, for doing that presentation. I appreciate that. I appreciate going over to the maintenance costs and everything, and how if we help maintain this, we don't have to go back and fix. You're not replacing whole roads sooner. And so in the end, in the long term, we're saving citizens money. That's we the people money. So that matters. So yes, thank you for you and your department. So you guys are on those potholes, man, in Whitefield security area. What can I say? They do great.
Something's going on down there.
Exactly. Okay, if there's no further questions, moving on to item 8F, quarterly reports for our member governments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an information item. They'd be glad to take any questions if the board has any.
Any questions on any of these quarterly reports? Okay. Seeing none, let's move on to item 9A. And the first part of item 9A is our legislative report.
I understood that Dan was on, but in case he's not, I've been working with your lobbyist, Dan Jablan, to monitor legislation that might impact the PPRTA specifically, or RTAs generally.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, there you are. Great. I've
There you
killed
are.
enough time.
And let me unmute myself. some good news. On Friday will be the halfway mark, the 60th day of the 120-day session. So we're almost halfway done. About 450 bills have been dropped. Still, the state budget is sort of ruling the day. The session's getting certainly a little bit more cantankerous with late night committee hearings now. We have been tracking and working one bill, 1269, which is the transit equity bill, or the transit access bill is the title of the bill. And we need to get amended out of that bill because all we're doing is financing this stuff, and it's punitive towards the people that are actually doing the transit. So I would suggest, I've been working with Jennifer talking about this, and Rick, and I would like to ask the board if we could take an amend position so I could continue to work with the bill sponsors to get us amended out. That allows me a little more latitude to try to get the language changed. So to make sure that we have no liability exposure within this piece of legislation. So that would be my one ask of the board for this month, is to try to take an amend position on 1269. Jennifer, do you have anything to add on that?
I was just going to explain that it's really one definition of what a covered transit agency is that we've been trying to massage the language. There's already an exclusion in there for the department or any transit services operated by the department. So I've just been trying to expand that to clarify that entities like the PPRTA, which are a funding only mechanism, are also carved out. We've just been working with the sponsor on different variations of that language that doesn't carve out anything that the sponsors don't want carved out. So it's a work in progress. Dan hasn't indicated that there's any concern that we'll get there, just trying to massage that language.
Yeah, the sponsors are very receptive to our request. They understand why we're making the request. I think this part of the issue is we need to continue to massage the language, because one of the bill sponsors used to be a professor at DU Law School and is confident that she has the best language in the world. So we just need to go ahead and continue to massage that, but I am confident we will get this to the finish line. So that's why I would like to ask permission to keep trying to amend this piece of legislation.
Go ahead, Mayor Dixon. Yeah.
Yeah, question or comment. PPACG actually took an opposed position with 1269 due to the impact on the Metro Transit. Kind of like maybe to hear more details on what I'd like to have amended.
Yeah, from the RTA perspective, really, it's just that definition we're trying to have amended. If the transit piece is concerned with the impact overall, I would look to them to let us know why we should take an opposed position. I have not received that feedback directly.
Okay.
So I know there's obviously implications for additional reporting, reduction of fares, additional costs. So I'm not prepared from our standpoint.
I think the information I had was a $3 million hit. Yeah. $3 million hit to our Metro Transit. So yeah, PPACG just took a hard oppose.
Yeah, I mean, I've let Dan's the lobbyist here. I'd let him speak to that, but obviously if we take an opposed position, I think we will probably jeopardize our ability to work with the sponsor to amend ourselves out. Obviously, if the greater impact is worth the opposition, then that would be worthwhile, but.
Jennifer, that's exactly right. If the RTA took an opposed position, that would probably put our amendment, which they've already agreed to in principle, certainly in jeopardy. It's just which is the greater good, writing out the RTA or supporting the PPACG position. That's certainly not a decision that I would make, but I would say politically, if the RTA is opposed, they will no longer work with me on getting the correct language that they're comfortable with to write this organization out.
And you think you're going to get some mileage with the amend?
Yeah, no, I think we're good. They've agreed in principle. It's just a matter of getting language that the bill sponsors are comfortable that all it does is write us out and not anybody else unintentionally.
I guess I would just add that, I mean, I think from my position when reviewing these is obviously transit's a key part of the PPRTA. We've tried to sort of carve ourselves out and then leave the heavier lifting to other entities, maybe selfishly, but that's kind of the position that we've taken in past years. But obviously, if the greater good is to oppose it completely because of the financial impact, then, you know, that's a decision for the board to make.
And if we're potentially getting some traction with benefiting the RTA, then from the RTA position, to me, it sounds like it would be more logical to me to stay with the amendment.
Part two of this will maybe address some if we need to change considerations, but I think amend for now seems like an appropriate position.
I would agree.
Do you entertain a motion, Mr. Chair?
Sure, let's go ahead. Yeah, so entertain a motion to consider positions on these bills.
Yep, I would make a motion that on Bill 1269, we take an amend position. With the expectation that the definition of transit be modified to exclude transit funders such as PPRTA.
This Kimberly, I'll second that.
Second, okay. Any questions? The rest of the board okay with that? Okay. All righty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, looks like we have our positions on these bills. Go ahead.
The second item I wanted to ask the board on legislative report and action item is in past years, we have, the board has delegated authority to the chair and vice chair to work with Rick, myself, with lobbyists, you know, sort of the administrative team, so that if positions need to be changed or taken between meetings, because there's been more developments and it's just a bit cumbersome to get a special meeting, especially at this board together, that authority is delegated to take those positions or change positions as necessary and then report back to the board at the next meeting. And so I wondered if the board would want to consider that today as well.
And I just want to add, I'm sorry, I was going to add to Jennifer, this is Dan, that as you guys know, over the years, things move extraordinarily fast here. I mean, I could be sitting in committee and somebody will ask us, what do we want to do on this amendment? Do we want to be on this amendment or the bill or whatever? So, and it doesn't happen all the time, but it is nice in emergency situation if there is a streamlined process.
Thank you. Jennifer, sort of a procedural question. If we moved forward with this opportunity and ability for chair and vice chair to take a position on an item, would the expectation be that we bring that to the full board, not just for their knowledge, but to ratify the decision, or what would the expectation be?
So given how fast things move, it would actually just be a delegate. So you wouldn't be ratifying after the fact. I think in past years, and Rick can correct me if I'm wrong, if that is exercised, Rick or I have sent a report to the full board of just FYI, your chair and vice chair authorized us changing or taking a position. And then it's been discussed at the next meeting, but really not a ratification since it is a delegation.
Got it. I just wanted to make sure I understood the distinction. Thank you. So given that, Mr. Chair, if you'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would move that the PPRTA board delegate responsibility to the chair and vice chair to take a position on pending legislation at the state level, pending as such that the board cannot weigh in on it.
Okay.
Kimberly, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Anything under question? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, item 9B, PPRTA 2026 annual report to the citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The annual report is before you. It's been through the CAC, and the couple of Eagle Eye CAC members have found 5 typos that that I didn't catch in my review. So I always appreciate that, but we believe it's ready for you. And now with the picture that was taken earlier at the meeting, that'll be added to the annual report, and then we believe it's ready to go and recommend board approval.
Okay. I'll give everybody a minute to look, so.
Councilmember Gold was just simply noting that the current version indicates Councilmember Tom Bailey as a member of the board of directors. I don't know if you want to modify that or update that or if it matters.
Good catch. We will modify that.
Okay. So the motion. Correct the typos as well as Councilman Bailey is one of the members of the PPRTA. So, okay. I'll entertain that motion.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move to approve the 2026 annual report as modified.
Okay, it's modified. Perfect.
Holly Williams,
second?
second.
Perfect. We got a motion and a second. Anything else on the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 10, agenda topics for our next meeting. Does any of the member governments, does anybody have anything? Okay. Seeing none. Item 11 is PPRTA member announcements. Any announcements from anybody?
I have one, but Councilmember Gold's comment is a great segue to what I was going to share or announce. Most of you probably saw in the news that Councilmember Tom Bailey resigned from his position at the end of our city council meeting yesterday evening. And so that is why he's not here today. His resignation was effective immediately. City council has now a 30-day window to appoint a replacement. And we are opening up the application window tomorrow, I believe. And right now it's looking like the tentative special meeting for us to is April 7th, which means that by the next PPRT board meeting, there will be voting member PPRTA from the city. Okay. Live in District 2.
There you go. So you heard it if you live in District 2, it's your name in the ring. So, okay, thank you. Anything else from anybody? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you look forward to November, Veterans Day, November 11 is the second Wednesday, which is your normal meeting date. The executive committee, chair and vice chair discussed a tentative date and time change of Friday, November 13 in the afternoon, well, noon, Friday 13. So that's tentative. If you'll check your calendars and maybe we can bring this back at the April board meeting and let us know if noon on Friday, November 13 would work for your November board meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. I personally won't be here on Veterans Day, so I'm sure I'll get invited to other events.
If I could follow up on
Oh,
that,
go ahead.
Mr. Chair, we're looking at syncing up the PPACG board meeting as well for those that are on both boards. So Chair Williams or Commissioner Williams, I've got a message into you as well. So we're looking at doing the PPACG board meeting that morning, probably 9 o'clock, and then hearing for PPRTA, if that works, Friday the 13th.